with a big league arm and Betty Davis knees, which isn't bad. He's been banged up pretty good.
But he's risen from the dead like Lazarus so many times. When he was with the Giants, it looked like he was through. They brought in Matt Robinson as the heir apparent here in Denver. He didn't work out. Here's Craig Morton having one of the best years of his career.
Second down. Let's call it 3 for the first down. Barrows picked up a couple more than we thought. Watson in motion. Preston driving hard for the first, and he'll be close at the 50-yard line. They had to reach just beyond the 50 to pick up the first down. And official timeout for measurement. Broncos played the Lions in the last game played at Tiger Stadium in Detroit back in 1974. Denver won that 31-27. Final scores around the National Football League. Oakland shut out for the third week in a row. That hasn't happened since the 1930s when the Chicago Bears were shut out 3 weeks in a row.
Can you imagine what Al Davis is saying?
Chain stretched, and it would appear that the Broncos are just a wee bit short. With third down coming up. Jets won one, beat New England.
My goodness, they've been hot for the last 3 weeks. A good game against Houston a couple of weeks ago, Miami tie last week, and now a victory today.
Our score 10-7. Denver leading Detroit. Third down, less than a yard. Broncos from the 50. Parris driving, and I don't know if he made it. Tony Parris really digging in, but a good charge by the Lions defensive line. Stopped him virtually cold.
That hit rate measured about 8.5 on the Richter scale. Good penetration by Detroit's defense.
Bring him in again, says the referee, Bob McElwee. Our second measurement in as many plays. Morton, meanwhile, looking over toward Dan Reeves. Well, they did get it. It was close, but it is a Bronco first down at the Detroit 49-yard line. They needed just a matter of inches.
You know, it's interesting.
Get much more than that.
Excuse me, Frank. It's interesting what's happened out here in Denver. The defense is playing excellent. One of the reasons is that the offense is controlling the ball more. It's a statistic you probably wouldn't think, but they lead the NFL in possession with holding the ball almost 34 minutes a game.
Moses wide to the left side. Watson in the slot. Riley Odoms, the tight end, is split out to the right. And the pitch to Preston, the fullback. Runs hard. Down to the 47-yard line. All was said and done, he picked up 2, maybe 3 yards in the play. Preston, young man out of Bowling Green University, who has played very well for the Denver Broncos in his 4 years with the club. 5'10", 195. Lions have a very strong rushing defense, as you can see by that graphic. Second down, 7. Officials mark it at the Lions 46-yard line. We're down to the last 10 seconds. Option pass, Tony Reed throwing. Marker thrown at the 5-yard line. Haven Moses, number 25, the intended receiver, and pass interference against Detroit. Will put the Broncos in business at the 5.
Little razzle-dazzle from Denver Broncos. Here's Tony Reed, sets up. That's Luther Bradley is downfield trying to cover Haven Moses. He loses sight of the ball and lets Moses puts that right hand out and interferes with Moses. That's the pass interference call.
Defensive pass interference, number 27. First down.
Here it is again. You see Luther Bradley trying to keep his position, but actually leans into Haven Moses. That's a 40-yard penalty.
And a very big blow to the Detroit Lions. That's a play that Dan Reeves performed very well when he was a halfback at Dallas. Of course, Reeves was a college quarterback at South Carolina. First and goal to go from the 6. Parris going outside, dips back in, fights his way to the 4. Pickup of 2 on the play. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 4-yard line. That's the end of the quarter. With the score, the Denver Broncos 10, the Detroit Lions 7. About everything seems to cost more today. Again, take a look at the pass interference call against Luther Bradley of the Lions.
Luther Bradley just screening out the receiver. That's Jimmy Allen coming over to try to help, but he wasn't a factor. The play was called, the interference, on number 27, Luther Bradley. The number 1 draft choice out of Notre Dame really hasn't performed the way the Lions hoped he would perform.
It'll be 2nd down, goal to go for the Denver Broncos at the 4-yard line. As we start the 2nd quarter.
Fairly even total yards.
Double tight end set off. Morton in trouble and sacked behind the line. Craig Morton, who was sacked last week a total of 7 times. And Big Bubba Baker gets number 1 on the afternoon.
We talked about him early. He is one of the premier sackers in the NFL. In his rookie year, 23 sacks. Watch him come from the outside. He has that quick outside rush, the quick circle move, has great mobility. Here Morton has a little bit of time, but not that much, as Big Bubba Baker puts him down for his 6th sack of the year.
That's a loss of 10. They're back at the 14-yard line. 3rd and goal to go. Morton steps up into the pocket, delivers, complete to Moses at the 3. They have to get into the end zone, of course. No first down available here. 4th down situation back at the 4-yard line. A 10-yard pickup on that play.
Here Morton has time to throw. Haven, it was good coverage by the secondary from Detroit. He steps up the way you're supposed to. Haven Moses looking for an opening, hoping to catch it and take it in. But good convergence by the Detroit defense prevents that, sets up the field goal.
Good job by Alvin Hall, number 35, the defensive back. Here's Steinfurt, who's hit from 25. This will be shorter than that. High snap. And that's it. Down at the 25-yard line as the snap came in high, and Prestridge, the punter, tried to pull it down and tried to make something out of it, fumbled the football, and the Lions wind up taking it back. Wayne Smith, number 44, to the 24-yard line.
There's a high snap from center, couldn't handle it. That's Mark Herman, finally fumbles the ball, and Wayne Smith comes up with it for Detroit.
Timeout here at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado. 13:33 left in the first half.
Nowadays, they're all...
Takes all kinds of fans. There's a typical Denver fan, I guess. Look at that. Comes in his own barrel. Very colorful crowd. A lot of orange, as you might expect here at Mile High Stadium. Some other scores. 4th period. Buccaneers moving along, leading Green Bay. And, of course, on top of the division in San Diego, Minnesota, more than a passing interest to followers of the Detroit Lions. 1st and 10. Lions at their 24-yard line. Bussey trying to fight his way upfield. Moves it out to the 30-yard line for a pickup of 6 in the play. It is 2nd down 4. Larry Evans, number 56, making the stop. Evans replacing the retired Joe Rizzo at a linebacker position.
You know, sometimes, Frank, we think of Dexter Bussey as just a blocking back for Billy Sims, but he's not. I mean, he led Detroit 4 of the 5 years in the pre-Billy Sims era. In 1978, he had 924 yards. He's a pretty good back up the middle.
That graphic you saw just a moment ago makes Sims' touchdown interesting. Lions being the first team to score in the Broncos in the first half in their last 4 games. Sims very close to a first down at the 34-yard line. Looks like he's got it.
You know, it's interesting, Detroit comes in with a 2-3 record, but actually 2 of those losses were heartbreak losses. I mean, they lost to San Diego in the last few minutes, 28-23, and Minnesota came back with Tommy Kramer in the last few seconds to beat them 26-24. So this Detroit team is actually much better than their 2-3 record.
1st and 10 from the 34-yard line. Jeff Comlow to Sims. And Sims out to the 37-yard line. Coming into this game, Billy was the number 3 ranked rusher in the NFC with an average of 4.1 per carry, trailing Tony Dorsett and George Rogers. And that's what he's done so far this afternoon. That includes that 49-yarder he ripped off for the touchdown. 2nd and 8, and the chant goes up for the defense to take over here at Mile High Stadium. Monty Clark. Scott in motion. Comlow looking over the middle. Completes the pass for short yardage. Not much there. Nichols made the catch. Grandisharn the tackle. Nichols on his 2nd reception advances the ball to the 41-yard line. It'll be 3rd down, still 4 for the 1st.
This is just an experienced linebacker, Randy Grandisharn, playing some of the best ball of his career, staying with his men. They try to clear out and get Nichols underneath. Grandisharn waited and made the tackle for a short gain.
Lions alternate their wide receivers, sending in the plays. Nichols and Leonard Thompson. 3rd and 4. From the 41. Comlow, big rush. Tried to hit Dexter Bussey. Put Bussey in kind of a bad position there. With hearing people coming up in front of him, and he had to reach back for it. Took a pretty good shot.
Bussey might have a chat with Comlow on the sidelines. Tell him, don't put me in that position again. The guy could get hurt like that.
Skladany back to do the punting. Of course, the altitude helps you a little bit here, they say, in punting, right?
Yeah, I covered a 98-yarder. Steve O'Neill kicked back in the early 70s. It just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. I kept running after it and running after it, hoping for the resuscitator after the run.
I think that's still the record, longest punt of the history of the National Football League, 98 yards here at this stadium. Skladany with a beautiful kick. Wade Manning at the 5, 10, 15. Up to the 20-yard line, we get flags thrown all over the place. Tell you, one official showed he had a pretty good arm there. He threw that flag, I'll bet, 35 yards in the air.
Monty Clark might recruit him.
I think it was McElwee, as a matter of fact. There was one thrown back at the 5-yard line. Normally, this is a situation where clipping would come into play.
Illegal contact, blocking above the waist from behind on the return team.
That spells it out for you. And the penalty yardage will be marched off against the Denver Broncos. Aaron Kyle was guilty, I believe, number 22. Watch it here.
Yeah, here's Aaron Kyle coming from the backside. Looks like he's blocking on Leonard Thompson, one of the headhunters for the Detroit Lions.
Blocking from behind above the waist. Number 22 is accepted. Number 15 is declined.
What can you say? I thought I hit him on the side, right? When you're talking to the coach, trying to explain what happened. Timeout here at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado. Well, no timeout, so we'll hold it. Broncos back up to their 3-yard line following that 57-yard punt by Skladany, and Preston has to fight to get back to the line of scrimmage.
That was Bubba Baker you saw flashing into the backfield, number 60. Spoke with him a little bit last night. He said he had some scores to settle. The man heard a lot of talk from Denver's offensive and defensive line about controlling that line of scrimmage. Bubba Baker wants to prove that that is not true.
Of course, Bubba played his college football at Fort Collins, not too far from here at Colorado State University, so I imagine he sold a few tickets today. Friends and relatives up to see him play. 2nd and 10. Moses in motion. Morton hanging on to it. and slides to a halt at the 4-yard line after an obvious mix-up. It'll be 3rd and 9.
I can imagine what Dan Reeves is thinking on the sideline as he looks at this year's franchise running with the ball, putting himself out there to risk injury. Broken play. Craig Morton certainly doesn't want to tuck the ball away and run with it.
Tony Reed, number 32, arrives in the huddle with the next play from the bench. There's Reeves. He is a fingernail chewer. Third down and 9. They go with the draw. Paris fights his way across the 5 and out to the 7-yard line. But Denver will have to punt from the end zone. So the Broncos, who have had 3 excellent scoring opportunities here today and managed to put up only 10 points on the board thus far, have allowed Detroit to come right back in this ball game. 10-7. Broncos lead it. And they'll be punting from their own end zone. Timeout now with 8 minutes 39 seconds left to play in the first half.
Instead of having one of those ordinary neighborhoods.
Here's the Denver punt by Luke Crestridge just a moment ago.
Frank, I think he has helium in this ball. It goes something like 65 yards. Robbie Martin makes a good catch like an outfielder. And then he picks up some yardage, about 10 or 15 yards on the return. Good play by Robbie Martin.
Chased out of bounds on the far side at the 39-yard line, and that's where Detroit will put it into play. With 8 minutes and 7 seconds left in the half. Minnesota, San Diego tied at 7. Vikings, keep in mind, tied for the top spot with Tampa Bay in the NFC Central. So the Lions trying to pick up some ground here with a victory over Denver, though they are listed as the underdog in this game, particularly since this young man, Jeff Comlow, is at the throttle in place of the regular quarterback, Gary Danielson, still out with that dislocated wrist. Lions down by 3. They've exploded once, sending Sims for 49 yards and a touchdown. 1st and 10 from their 39. Scott in motion. Dexter Bussey on the carry out to the 45 for 6 yards. Bussey last year on average led all NFL ball carriers. He averaged 5 yards per carry, and he was the leading rusher prior to the arrival of Sims, but moved back more or less out of the spotlight to the fullback position, turned into more of a blocking back, but he's a class guy, a team player, and the Lions love him. 2nd and 4. Lions at their 45-yard line. Comlow to Sims. Sims to the 50, 45, 40. One man to beat. That's right. And Louis Wright drags him down at the 20, and he may have face masked him. Big hole up the middle. And Louis Wright doing an excellent job in a one-on-one situation, but he may have tugged the face mask as he brought him down. Let's see.
Mask foul, number 20, 1st down.
Billy Sims moves as fast sideways as most men move forward. Watch this. He cuts, starts left, and then he quickly slides up the middle, little shuttle step, turns on the speed, and you're right. Louis Wright made a great play here. He starts in his back pedal, trying not to give him one way to go. Watch Louis Wright here. Terrific play. He does grab the face mask at the end of it, but makes a great play to save a touchdown. Anytime a great back Sims gets hit up on you like that and you make the play, it's a brilliant play.
The 5-yard penalty moves the ball to the 16-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Lions. They'll have a chance to take the lead on this drive after a very shaky start. Comlow down to the 10, and we get a penalty marker on the play. It is very difficult, obviously, for the offensive players to hear the signals called. You could see Freddie Scott on the end of the line of scrimmage just straining, trying to hear what Comlow was calling. And he may have checked off at the line of scrimmage and nobody heard him. That'll probably be a motion, I would think, or procedure.
Illegal motion, number 32, offense, 1st down.
Tony Reed, the running back, got started a step early. Reed, a former 1,000-yard runner. Pardon me, Rick Kane. Got my 32s mixed up for a moment.
All those running backs look alike.
Yeah. First down, 15, with the ball moved back to the 21-yard line. Kane, a hard runner. Inside the 20 to about the 18-yard line. Rick Kane. There's a final score. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will remain at least tied for the top spot in the NFC Central by beating Green Bay. Cincinnati in a romp over Baltimore. Our score 10-7. Denver leading, Detroit threatening. Second down, 12 from the 18-yard line of the Broncos. Domlo with good protection. Now has to run out of it to the 15 and stumbles to the 13-yard line. They have to get to the 6 for the first down.
Tomlo did have good protection that time. Not the quickest feet in the world. One of his problems is setting up. You see him backpedal straight out. That means he wants to throw to the left side. He can find a good coverage downfield by Denver. Here he takes off with one man to beat. He can't do it. Linebacker trips him up. Puts it in a third down and about 6 situation, I believe, Frank.
Let's call it 3rd and 7 to be exact, with the ball at the 13-yard line. And again, this Denver crowd exhorting their defense to hold him. Tomlo out to the safety valve. That's Bussey inside the 10, driving for the first down, and he will be close. I think he's got it.
That's one of the things Detroit hopes to do, isolate both backs. Watch Sims come out of the backfield first. He takes Gradishar, the linebacker, inside. Bussey comes out after him. You see Sims inside clearing out. Bussey makes the catch. Pretty good move right here to get the first down. And that's a good linebacker, number 57, Tom Jackson, that he beats.
Bussey driving hard. Louis Wright hanging on for dear life, but it's enough. And the Lions have a 1st and goal to go from the 6. Dexter Bussey. Used sparingly as a pass receiver so far. Fine runner, fine blocker. Detroit driving for the go-ahead touchdown with 5 minutes 20 seconds left to play in the first half. Scott to the left side. Thompson to the right. Sims to the 5. Sims dives for the goal line and is stopped at the 1. Billy Sims already over the 100-yard rushing mark. Prior to that play, he had 11 carries for 117 yards here in the first half. 2nd and goal from the 1.
And Frank, all 75,000 people in the stadium know that Billy Sims is going to get the ball down near the goal line. Look at that good balance there. He takes it and almost gets it in.
He is virtually impossible to stop in short yardage situations. Let's see if they feed it to him again. 2nd and goal from the 1. Yes, sir. Sims for the score. Billy Sims scores his 2nd touchdown of the afternoon. And the Detroit Lions lead it 13-10.
He launches himself into the end zone. Really didn't have to. But he just catapults himself. This man wants to score badly.
13 carries now for 123 yards. Sims diving through the air. Nobody touched him.
It's like one of the great Wallendas.
Absolutely. Eddie Murray to tack on the extra point, which he does. Well, that's one way to quiet that crowd down when you're on the road. As the Lions take the lead, 14-10. 4 minutes, 59 seconds left in the half. Billy Sims on the bench accepting congratulations from his teammates and getting a whiff or two of oxygen, which you can use after a lot of work here.
And certainly he has been the workhorse. 123 yards and 13 carries. 2 touchdowns.
He's made the difference in this game. There's the book on the Lions scoring drive. And this is impressive. After the Lions got down 10-0 on the road, playing with a backup quarterback, you had to figure they were in deep trouble. But now they have fought back, and they've actually taken the lead. Wade Manning deep on the return, and the wind blows the ball off the tee. Got a pretty good breeze out of the south, which is blowing from right to left as we view the action. But Dan Reeves was telling us down on the field before the game, it swirls around pretty good. Look at that wind. But it goes and swirls, so you can't really get an accurate gauge on it. Even though it's swirling, I'd rather be in the Lions' position, because kicks going in that direction have been deep in the end zone all afternoon. This one 5 yards deep. Manning 10, 15, 20. Out of bounds at the 26.
Robbie Martin, number 83, committing a rookie mistake. He is the outside man on the kickoff. You were told, don't let that man outside. Protect the sideline. He didn't do it.
Don't forget, coming up at halftime, Brent Musburger, Irv Cross, highlights of all the NFL action. A lot of the scores final, and some interesting happenings in the late starting games. Dan Reeves back to chewing fingernails again. Reeves, of course, has installed the Dallas multiple offense in Denver this year. Morton looking downfield, hits Watson. Allen made the stop, or Watson may have been off to the races again. Watson is an amazing story. In his 3rd year from Temple, he was a free agent, played on the specialty teams the last couple of years, and when Upchurch got hurt, he has just made the most of this break.
Jimmy Allen is just late getting here. Morton looked all the way. Allen just didn't read it quickly enough, even though he did make the tackle. Should have been there earlier to break that up.
18 yards and a first down for the Broncos at their 44. Morton under pressure. Bubba Baker. And we're going to get a holding call against the Broncos. On top of that, Morton holding his right elbow coming up as Bubba gets his 2nd sack of the afternoon.
Of course, Morton is not totally healthy. That left shoulder is bothering him. He hurt it the first play of the first regular season game.
I believe it was Claudie Minor.
Holding 71. Offense declined. 2nd down.
Lions will take the loss instead and allow the down to move. And the loss moves it back to the 36-yard line. 2nd down. And now 19 needed for the first down. Harrison Preston in the backfield. Again, a big rush on Morton trying to set up the screen. Got it to Peros, but not much there. Bradley played it nicely. Number 27. And that will set up 3rd down, and still needing around 20 for the first.
You can credit the success of this play for the Lion defense to number 78, Doug English, who makes Morton hold the ball. See him right there, makes him hold the ball, throw it outside, gives Bradley time to come up and make the play. Doug English, we talked about him at the top of the show. English and Baker. A lot of people say they're as good as Harvey Martin and White down in Dallas. Frank, what do you think?
They're a pretty potent duo, I'll say that. Lions are particularly delighted to get English back after a year's sabbatical. On 3rd and 21 from the shotgun. Morton. Sideline throw, and it hung up there forever. But Haven Moses was there to pull it down for the first down at the 43-yard line. That pass seemed to just hang in the high altitude here.
I'm a little surprised to see a fine defensive back like James Hunter, number 28. Looks like he's out for a hot dog here. He's that far away from Haven Moses. That ball is thrown across the field. Plenty of time to get there. Still, Hunter's late.
So on a key 3rd and 21 play, the Broncos come up with a first down. at the Detroit Lions 43-yard line. 2.5 minutes remaining in the first half. 23-yard pickup. Preston almost has his head taken off as he crosses the line of scrimmage and moves to the 40-yard line. Morton thus far 6 out of 7 for 160 yards. You know, your old teammate Joe Willie might consider coming out of retirement if Craig can do it.
You know, we were talking about that, Joe Willie and I, and he looked at Craig Morton and said he was doing that well. He said, maybe I'll come out of retirement. And I told that to Craig, and he said, well, certainly Denver's a great place for old quarterbacks with gimpy knees.
2-minute warning, and we'll be back in Denver in just a moment.
Before a day of...
Frank Lieber along with John Dockery at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado. 2 minutes left to play in the first half. Detroit leading 14-10. And the Broncos have the football and a 2nd and 7. San Francisco still leading Dallas by a comfortable margin in the second period. They were ahead 21-0 before the Cowboys got on the scoreboard. David Moses in motion. Morton back to throw. Protection is good this time. Long one for Watson. Touchdown! What a player this kid is.
And Watson just went up between James Hunter and the other Detroit defensive back to take this ball away. I thought Hunter was going to intercept it. The ball was up there for a while. Hunter comes over, but look at Watson. At 6'4", it becomes a mismatch, goes up and grabs a touchdown.
Watson scoring his 2nd touchdown of the game, and Denver wrestles the lead back from the Lions. 16-14. Extra point trying to come. Steinfurt's attempt is good. What a football game so far. We're still in the first half with 1:53 to go, and Denver leading.
This is the famous.
This has got to be the most vocal crowd in the National Football League. 40-yard touchdown pass from Morton to this young man, Steve Watson, who's caught 3 today for better than 150 yards. Steve Watson was 8 years old when Craig Morton was a rookie in the National Football League. Robbie Martin fumbles back to the 15 and run out of bounds at the 17-yard line.
And it's interesting, I talked to Craig Morton yesterday about Steve Watson, and he said, you know, Watson's the kind of receiver that'll go over the middle, make that great catch for you, and we haven't had that around here that often. He was really happy with having Watson, a big target, as a wide receiver. Look at that scoring drive. 6 plays, 74 yards, 40-yard touchdown to Watson.
Watson is not the fastest man in the world. He's got excellent hands. He's got super concentration. As you saw on the touchdown catch, runs excellent patterns.
And Danny Reeves knew he could play, but he was just such an intense athlete that he tended to be tight. And now he's more relaxed, getting a chance to play, and you see the results. 2 touchdowns.
Let's see if Denver's defense can shut the Lions down the rest of the first half. Ball is at the 17-yard line. 1st and 10. Rick Kane out to the 18 for a pickup of 1 yard in the play. As far as the Bronco defense is concerned, they're already embarrassed. They've been scored on twice here in the first half, which normally doesn't happen to them. Timeout being called. I think the Broncos took the time. I think they want to get the football back, maybe. We'll be back at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado, right after this.
Carefully.
The preceding message was furnished by the National Football League. Lions have 3 timeouts left. The Broncos have 2. It is 2nd down 8. Detroit from its 18-yard line, trailing 17-14. Jeff Comlow over the middle, intended for Thompson. Leonard Thompson, who led the National Football League in average per catch last year, averaged better than 26 yards a reception. It's their big long ball threat.
I think it's interesting, Frank. Denver called a timeout showing they want the ball back. They're confident. Detroit comes out and throws the ball in a key situation, showing that they believe in themselves, too. We have two football teams that feel they can win this game now. I don't think Detroit felt that way coming in now, but now they've gotten a taste of it, and they think they can beat Denver.
Scott wide to the left side. Mark Nichols is flanked to the right. Comlo looking downfield, has a completion short of the first down. Rick Kane fields the pass at the 23. It'll be 4th down, still needing 3 for the first down, and Denver uses its second timeout to stop the clock with 1:20 remaining in the half. So the Broncos will get the football back and have 1 timeout to work with as they try to get it into field goal range.
1:20 is an eternity for a quarterback like Craig Morton, who knows just what to do and has been in this situation 500 times maybe.
Coming up at halftime, don't forget Brent Musburger and Herb Cross. Highlights of all the NFL action today. A lot of exciting games in the National Football League on this 6th Sunday of 1981. Morton conferring with Reeves. Monty Clark. See where Monty's son Brian had a good day yesterday from Michigan State. Couldn't pull him out, though.
Threw a couple of touchdown passes.
So Monty trying to make it a real big weekend for the Clark family. Broncos say they have the same feeling here they had in 1977 when they went to the Super Bowl, but with a different team. Then they were winning cliffhangers all year. This year they have gone out and really asserted themselves over most clubs.
And I think that really is a credit to Dan Reeves and his multiple offense, putting more points on the board, taking the pressure off the defense.
Skladany back to do the punting, standing on his 9. One of the top kickers in the National Football League. Another low snap. But again, he gets it away nicely. Wade Manning signals for the fair catch at the 25-yard line. And the Broncos are 75 yards away with 1:13 and 1 timeout left. Morton certainly is no stranger to the Detroit Lions. He led the Cowboys once upon a time to a 5-0 victory in 1970 in a divisional playoff game. 51 yards on that punt by Skladany, which won't hurt his average any. Here's Morton, who's completed 7 out of 8 for 200 yards. Reed having trouble finding the handle. A little dangerous there. It was rolled a forward pass. Had, of course, been behind him. It would have been a backward pass or a lateral and a free ball. Reed is the former Kansas City running back, 1,000-yard rusher with the Chiefs. Pretty good football player.
An excellent football player and a man who can catch the ball out of the backfield. With the Chiefs in '78, he had 48 catches for almost 500 yards out of the backfield. I think they hope that Tony Reed will put the spark into that running game. He hasn't quite done it yet, though he has shown sparks of brilliance, Frank.
2nd and 10 from the 25-yard line. Morton operating out of the shotgun. Spears Preston, and Preston can't hold it. Incomplete. All of a sudden, the Chiefs receivers have a case of the dropsy, as Morton has 2 in a row dropped on him. And it'll be 3rd down and 10.
And Morton doing the wise thing here. Keeps one of his backs in. That's 32. Reed in. And he's just going for the short, high percentage pass. But his backs have the butterfingers. Can't hold on to it. That's the second one dropped. Reed just a moment ago. And now Preston.
Reeves says one of the reasons for Morton's success this year is his ability out of the shotgun, which Red Miller didn't use. And, of course, Morton very familiar with it from his Dallas days. 3rd down, 10. Still over a minute left in the half. Morton threading the needle for a first down at the 45-yard line. And guess who? Steve Watson.
Who else? You know, Morton told me yesterday that it's his arm that's kept him in the game. And certainly we know that he's not a mobile quarterback. The shotgun has certainly helped that. Here he drills a first down pass to Steve Watson.
Timeout, and Morton has just used the Broncos' last timeout here in the first half. 52 seconds to go.
Take a look at the old man. 17 years in the league, doing it so well.
What he does so well is read defenses. He's been around long enough. He knows where everybody is.
You know, Frank, I'm convinced that you could go into Craig Morton's room at 4 a.m. in the morning, wake him out of a deep sleep and yell blitz, and it'd still hit Haven Moses on the slant pattern.
Reeves wants a word with Morton before he goes back into the huddle. Of course, being a defensive back with the Jets, you're used to playing against the multiple offense, such as Dallas in the past. What'd you used to do?
Well, I mean, the multiple offense causes an awful lot of confusion on defense. I remember playing Dallas one day, and we were so confused that finally we said, forget everything, we'll play 3 deep. Hope that works. I mean, it just caused a lot of confusion and second guessing for a defensive team.
And that's the same offense, of course, that Reeves has installed here at Denver.
And if the 3 deep zone didn't work, they just say, well, you take him wherever he goes. If he goes out for a hot dog, you stay with him.
Of course, you had to cover Bob Hayes, didn't you? Wasn't he playing in your day?
You talk about mismatches.
1st and 10, Broncos at their 45 from the shotgun. Pitch to Preston. Preston at the 50, flag down as Preston gets inside the 45 to the 43. Now keep in mind the Broncos are out of timeouts. We had a marker at the line of scrimmage. It's going to be against Denver. They'll bring it back.
Boy, they are dusting off some old plays. The halfback pass by Tony Reed earlier. Now the shuttle pass from Morton. What next? Of course, Reeves likes to do some different things each week. Last week it was the 2 tight ends against Oakland. This week, all kinds of things coming out of the closet.
The exotics, they call them. Look at Reeves. He's a little hot about that call. Let's see what it is here.
Ineligible receiver downfield on a forward pass. Number 73, first down.
Of course, the fact that he pitched that ball forward makes it a forward pass to Preston, just like a drop back pass would be. And they had a receiver, an ineligible receiver downfield. In that case, Kelvin Clark, their #1 draft choice from Nebraska a couple of years ago.
Ineligible downfield on a forward pass, number 73, first down.
So move it back to the 35-yard line. It'll now be 1st and 20. Clock down to 46 seconds left in the half.
Well, you could fry an egg on. Look at Reeves's neck. Look at how angry he is. My goodness.
Moses wide to the right side. Riley Odoms, who hasn't been used much, inside of him. Again, they go at the handoff. Reed, 30, 35, 40, and out of bounds at the Denver 44-yard line with 39 seconds to go. Allen was over there quickly, so was Stan White to make the stop. There's the time remaining in the first half, and there's our score. And it's been a tight one. Denver jumping out to a 10-0 lead, and the Lions fighting back to take the lead at 14-10, and Morton coming up with his second long touchdown throw to Steve Watson to put Denver back in charge. Again, Brent and Irv coming up at halftime with all the scores and highlights. And we're 39 seconds away. Shotgun. Morton swings it out to Reed. 40, 45, 50. Down to the 45-yard line. Morton trying to go here with the hurry-up offense. They got the first down. The clock is moving. They can't stop it. 25 seconds and counting. Broncos line up quickly. Morton will just throw it out of bounds. Flag down. And pass is intercepted. Pass is intercepted, and he'll go all the way for the touchdown. Alvin Hall. If that's against Denver, it goes as a score. Let's see what the penalty was. It's a touchdown, I believe. Illegal motion against the Broncos. Touchdown, Detroit. With 7 seconds left on the clock, the Lions Lions have reclaimed the lead. I thought he was just going to throw it out of bounds.
I think that's what he was trying to do. What he didn't do is get it up and away. He got it down looking to Watson. There was an awful lot of confusion. Alvin Hall opportunistically steps in front, and then it's bye-bye, baby. I'm taking this one all the way.
Motion against the offense. Penalties declined. Touchdown.
Alvin Hall, the first-year man from Miami of Ohio, runs it back for a score. And the Lions lead 20-17. Here's the extra point try.
Whew, what a wild and woolly first half. Anything could happen.
Murray hits it. "55 yards on the interception return by Alvin Hall, and the Lions are back in the lead for the second time. And the Broncos are thunderstruck. They think they're driving for a field goal, and all of a sudden it's turned around completely, and they get 7 quick ones scored on them.
Well, if you're a defensive back in that situation, you really don't have anything to lose. You know the quarterback's going to throw it out of bounds. As you look at what's coming up next week, you know he's going to throw it out of bounds. Here, he didn't get it up and out of bounds, and Alvin Hall took it downtown. He has help deep, so he doesn't have to worry about really anything.
Well, depending on where you happen to be, you'll be looking at one of these games. Philadelphia still unbeaten at Minnesota, St. Louis at Atlanta. Got a very tough ball game with the Rams today, and Tampa Bay, the co-leader right now in the NFC Central, at Oakland. And maybe Oakland can score next week. Who knows? They've gone 3 weeks now without scoring.
It'll be a moral victory when they score a touchdown.
Wade Manning waiting for the kickoff here. 7 seconds left. So if he returns the kick, it'll probably be the last play of the first half. If it goes into the end zone, of course, the clock doesn't stop in the last 2 minutes. So he'd still have the 7 seconds. Squibb kicks it out of bounds. Penalty. So they'll kick it again after a 5-yard penalty. What a first half of football. 21-17. What could happen in the second half? A little bit of everything. Lions and the Broncos from Mile High Stadium. Just a gorgeous afternoon. Temperature in the 70s. Brisk wind, but not a cool wind at all.
And of course, this is what Dan Reeves was worried about. I mean, you look at the season, Denver beat Oakland 9-7 to open, and then came back flat against Seattle, lost 10-13 before winning their last 3 games. And today, lightning is struck, and they're trailing 21-17.
Eddie Murray. Squig kips it up the middle this time. Picked up not this time by Manning, but instead by Mike Harden, number 31, who returns it to the 40. And let's see, 1 second showing on the clock. Time for one play. Officials mark it at the 39-yard line. Windblown Monty Clark looking on. Monty Clark once tried to hire Dan Reeves as his offensive coordinator when Monty was the head coach of the 49ers, and claims that Reeves got a big pay raise from Dallas as a result, a lot more responsibility with the Cowboys.
You think Reeves is trying to pay him back today?
I don't know. Preston to the 45 and up to the 49-yard line, and that'll do it. Well, an exciting first half of action here at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado. Winds up with the underdog Detroit Lions leading the AFC West co-leaders, the Denver Broncos, by a score of 21-17. And a lot of credit to the Lions, who keep fighting back. They were down, as we mentioned, early, 10-0. And with a second-string quarterback going at that point, with Danielson injured, you'd think perhaps they'd be in deep trouble, but they came right back, didn't they?
They came. That's really a credit to the character of this team and to Monty Clark. I mean, we talked about the defense earlier, but the offense has been surprisingly strong. Kamlow's played a good game. Certainly Billy Sims has been the man for Detroit. 2 touchdowns, close to 145 yards rushing. I mean, Billy Sims has lifted the Detroit Lions, kept them in the game.
Kamlow was 5 out of 9 for 49 yards. That's the little etching that looks down upon us all here at Mile High Stadium from on top of the scoreboard. This stadium seats 75,000. They have sold it out for 84 consecutive games, and they're talking now about expanding this stadium to 90,000 by filling in the open end. Here's the way the NFC Central looks right now. Now, this is based on what has happened, final scores, including today's games. Tampa Bay winning today, beating Green Bay, at least temporarily has an edge over Minnesota. And the Vikings are playing San Diego in a late starting game out of the West Coast. So if they should beat San Diego, of course, they'd be tied, but they've got their hands full with San Diego. Detroit needs a victory rather badly to move back to 500 and really get back in the chase, because they lose this one, they've got some problems. They're quite a bit behind as we approach not quite the halfway mark of the season. So it's a very big game for the Lions. Obviously, it is just as big for the Denver Broncos, who are tied with San Diego and need a victory to keep pace. And this is a game that people expect the Broncos to win.
But Frank, that NFC Central division is certainly an interesting one, because 8-8 or 9-7 will probably win it, so everybody's in it.
We'll be back at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado shortly. Back to Mile High Stadium in Denver. Crowd being entertained by the Colorado State University Marching Band. The play that made the difference, certainly at the end, was Alvin Hall's big interception. Everybody kind of relaxed on this play, and they saw the flag go and everything.
You tend to think it's automatic, but it isn't, as Alvin Hall, a graduate of Gong Show, a free agent, takes it 55 yards for the touchdown.
All right, now for an update on what's going on around the NFL, let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
Welcome back to the news desk in New York. I am Brent with Irv. Have we got action this afternoon? Take a look at the San Diego Chargers. Down 14-7. Eric Coryell. Fouts says, come on, Dwight Scales, bust free. And there it is. 60 yards. He's down, but he has not been touched, and he scrambles to the end zone for the touchdown. Now, let's get you up to date with everything that's gone on around the league. The Philadelphia Eagles, unbeaten and untied. Very well coached by Dick Vermeil. They roll today, 31-14 over New Orleans. All finals now. The New York Jets coming back. It's 28-24. 8 sacks and 4 interceptions by that Jet defense on the day. Pittsburgh 13, Cleveland 7. Bradshaw 19 of 133 for 199 yards. Brian Sipe suffered an injury to the shoulder. Do not know how serious that is for the Browns. Game of the year. Los Angeles 37, Atlanta 35. Frank Corral won a 25-yard field goal with 28 seconds to go on the clock. William Andrews, 21 carries, 120 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the Falcons. Cincinnati 41, Baltimore 19, and Forrest Gregg has breathed some fire on the Bengals this year. Tampa Bay 21, Green Bay 10. Doug Williams, 15 of 23 for 167 yards, and the Bucs intercepted Lynn Dickey 4 times. Kansas City shuts out Oakland 27-0. 3 straight shutouts for Oakland. Somebody told me that's the first time since 43. The Brooklyn Dodgers lost 4 in a row. The Brooklyn Dodgers had a football team, too, if you think it's just baseball they played. Houston now 35, Seattle 17. That's a final score. Chicago loses again, 24-7 to the Washington Redskins, who win for the first time. And San Diego now is tied with Minnesota, 14-14. Detroit and Denver, what a wild game. Great first half, 21-17 Lions. Sims doing a marvelous job. The Giants, many of you are watching this game. And how about that, 17-7, the Giants coming alive there.
Half a play. But the Broncos offensive line, John Dockery, did a pretty good job protecting Craig Morton in that first half.
They did.
And on the reverse side of the coin, Lions been running very well against Denver. We'll be back with more of the Denver-Detroit game after this word.